Thomas Edison. You hear that name, and you probably think of the light bulb, right? Or the phonograph. He's basically the guy who switched on the modern world. But here's the thing about the man behind the legend. He wasn't some lone genius waiting for a light bulb to appear over his head. Not at all. He was a master of a process, a system for inventing. So the real story isn't just what he invented, it's how he did it.
I mean, really think about this for a second. How does a single person, a kid from Ohio with almost no formal schooling, end up with 1,093 US patents? That number is just staggering. It sounds impossible, right? But the answer isn't some kind of magic. It's a method. And that's exactly what we're going to unpack.
And you know what? He told us the secret himself with this one famous quote. He pretty much handed us the blueprint to his success. It's not about that aha moment, that flash of genius. Nope. It's about the grind, the relentless, exhausting, systematic hard work. And that one idea, that's the foundation for literally everything he ever accomplished.
Okay, so to really get this, we have to go all the way back to the beginning. Edison's path was anything but typical, and his childhood, well, it was the perfect breeding ground for the kind of revolutionary thinker he was destined to become. His early life just moved at lightning speed. He had hearing trouble as a kid, but he later said it was a plus, that it helped him focus. And get this, by 13, he was already an entrepreneur, running his own newspaper that he printed and sold on a train. Then at 15, something straight out of a movie happens. He saves a kid from a runaway train, and the boy's father thanks him by teaching him telegraphy, which was, the internet of its day. And this part is absolutely crucial. Edison only spent a few months in a real school. His actual education came from his mom, who was a teacher, and his own incredible curiosity. Because he was teaching himself, he wasn't stuck thinking inside the box like everyone else. He was totally free to just try stuff, to experiment, to mess up, and to do it all over again on his own terms. So, all that experimenting, that freedom to try anything, it led to what was maybe his greatest invention of all. And no, it wasn't a single gadget. It was a system. He built an invention factory designed for one single purpose, to churn out the future on an industrial scale. Remember this number, 1,093 patents. This is what that system produced. This isn't the work of one guy tinkering in his garage. This is the output of a factory. See, he didn't just invent products. He invented the entire modern concept of research and development. So let me introduce you to Menlo Park. This place, founded in 1876, was a total game changer. It wasn't just a lab. It was the world's first industrial research lab. And its mission was just radical for the time. It wasn't just to discover things for science's sake. It was to create a constant flow of new technologies, and then, crucially, to control how they were used. This was about business from the get-go. So how did it work? Well, first, he filled the place with, and this is a quote, almost every conceivable material. Then, he hired a whole team of experts, but they weren't there to follow their own dreams. They were there to execute his vision. He was the conductor of this whole orchestra. And the culture? It was relentless. We're talking 18-hour workdays. It was all about the grind, all focused on that one goal, create and control new tech. And this one little story just says it all. There's this famous photo of all the employees at his factory. So, you look for the boss, right? And where is he? He's just a little head peeking out of a fourth-floor window. Why? He literally told him he was too busy working to come downstairs for the picture. That, right there, is the 99% perspiration in action. Okay, so let's see this invention factory in action with its most famous creation ever, the electric light. Because the real story, again, was never just about inventing one little bulb. It was about building the entire world that the bulb would live in. You see, Edison was playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers. First, there was the pure hard work, testing literally thousands of materials to find the perfect filament, which turned out to be carbonized bamboo. But that was just step one. Then he had to design the whole ecosystem, the generators, the wiring, everything. Then he had to get the money, and we're talking big money, from people like J.P. Morgan. And finally, the masterstroke. He built the whole thing, the world's very first commercial power grid right in Manhattan. And this patent was the key to it all.
Look, other people had made filaments that could glow. That wasn't new. The real breakthrough, the magic, was creating one that was reliable and could last for over 1,200 hours. That's the leap that turns a cool science experiment into a real, world-changing product you can actually sell.
But of course, when you're on top, everybody wants to take you down. And this brings us to the infamous War of the Currents. Edison's whole empire was built on DC, direct current, which was safe but could only travel about a mile. His rival, George Westinghouse, with the genius Nikola Tesla on his team, was pushing AC, alternating current, which could go for miles. Edison saw this as a massive threat, and he went on the attack, launching a pretty ruthless PR campaign to convince everyone that AC was deadly, all to protect his own invention.
All right, so let's zoom out. When you step back from all the patents and the power plants, what is Edison's real legacy? What are the lessons we can actually take away from this incredible life today?
I think it really boils down to three huge things. First, perseverance pays off. To Edison, failure wasn't really failure. It was just more data. Another way that didn't work. Second, think in systems. Don't just invent a product, invent the entire industry around it. And third, you have to market your vision. He knew an amazing invention was totally useless if you couldn't get people excited about it and willing to invest. He was a brilliant showman.
And don't just take my word for it. This wasn't just hype he created himself. The most respected scientists of his time knew he was special. I mean, when the head of the National Academy of Sciences calls you the most ingenious inventor in this country or in any other, well, that tells you just how huge his impact really was. So in the end, Edison's story is this powerful reminder that innovation isn't some magical gift. It's a grind. His relentless perspiration is what truly invented the world we all live in today, which really just leaves us with one last question to think about. What will our 99% perspiration invent next?